Barbeck is a proud sponsor of local H&R Preps.
Kelly, I just got a new cell phone. It's awesome. And I just shot a video of Nick at the game tonight. Oh my God, he is so cute. I'll send it to you right now.
We help you stay connected with a cute picture here and there. Buy local. Buy Barbeck.
Hello and welcome to this week's Preps Preview alongside Justin Conn. I'm Leroy Bridges. We're going to go ahead and get started with our top fives. We're going to do this throughout the rest of the year until the state finals are over. What are you pointing at me for?
You first. I want to hear yours
me first. Okay. Yeah. I'm starting off. Got a couple new teams in it this week. Obviously, with some teams losing, I put A&M in my top five for the first time in a couple weeks at number 5. They played a pretty good game against TUSCOLA. I dropped St. Teresa out. They lost obviously to Lono Unity. Number 4. What are you squinting my sheet here?
You got like
throw me off.
You have 5 top 5s here. I thought you were winging it.
No, that's last week. So number 4, I got CASEY-WESTFIELD coming in there. Obviously, they're still undefeated. I mean, might be one of the best teams in our area easily. They've got a big game coming up this week that could set up a matchup with MAROA, so we'll see there. MAROA comes in at 3. They continue to win. Trojans look really, really good at home against undefeated Westville. Number 2, TUSCOLA, staying there. My top 2 are the same. The Warriors continue to win, and PANA, can't bump PANA down. They beat Greenville for the second time this year. They're going to stay top team in my top 5. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, that makes sense somehow. Number 5, I have A&M. I believe I had A&M at number 5 last week, and I did, and I had it at number 3. But anyway, they looked really good offensively against TUSCOLA. TUSCOLA kind of found a weak spot in their defensive secondary, but other than that, there's no way that Central A&M is a second round loss playoff team. I mean, they're just better than that, and it's unfortunate that's the way it ended for them, but really good team this year. They really came on at the end of the year and were fun to watch.
Yeah.
Number 4, I have PANA.
Whoa, the Panthers, not in your top 5 last week.
Yeah, so they move into the top 5 at number 4. That's pretty good. Yes.
Wow,
4.
That's pretty terrible. A quarterfinal 3A team at 4 in your top 5. I think all the PANA fans out here should send you emails.
I think all the Casey fans who I have number 3 Casey should send you emails, because not only did you pick against them against Carlinville last week, a team that never loses in the second round, Casey, you pick them to lose. They haven't been beat, and they sometimes make appearances on your top 5. I have number 3. Number 2, MAROA. Right now, I'm surprised they're not a little higher on your list as well.
Really?
And number 1, TUSCOLA, who I haven't really moved out much this year.
Yeah, I just find it hard. I think MAROA is very good, but TUSCOLA and PANA, those are 2 really good teams.
You're right.
Just kind of moving forward here, talk about 2 teams, very good teams in the area that we had in our top 5s throughout the year. A&M and St. Teresa, their seasons came to an end last weekend. First off, just thoughts on St. Teresa, the Bulldogs going 8-3.
It's a second round playoff loss. It's the second year in a row that they haven't made the quarterfinals. At first glance, you're like, man, not a real great year for St. Teresa, but you look at the losses, 2 of them were to Unity, a team that was a state finalist last year and is really poised to make another pretty good run this year. They were in both those games. I mean, just one more play in both those games, and they win both of them.
Yeah, that's tough.
And the same thing in that TUSCOLA game they lost. I mean, really, this was a really good St. Teresa team. They got hit by some injuries late, and it hurt them. I really feel like they're probably better than 8-3 in the second round, but that's the hand they were dealt. So kind of a tough year, tough ending for them. Probably a team that deserved better.
Yeah, I think you look at those 2 teams. Those are the newest teams in the O-Call. Maybe 5 years ago, I don't know, I wasn't around, but maybe that St. Teresa team does a little bit more, advances a little farther. I'm not quite sure, but it was a good team. A&M, the same can be said for them. Just a really scrappy Raider team. I know they started the season on a pretty bad note against Tolono, but man, they progressed and did what every coach likes a team to do and just got better every week, specifically running the football. Great careers for Evan Hayes and Colin Towns. I mean, 2 guys right there. Coach Ramsey is going to have a heck of a time replacing those 2 guys, and the roster is going to be kind of thin. I know they lose a ton of senior talent, and I mean, just another great year for the Raiders, and just unfortunate for the second year in a row
Yeah.
it loses to the same team twice.
Exactly, and Townsend and Hayes, their legacy will be second and third round losses in their career, and probably deserve better. Like I said earlier with them, they were a really nice team. Real quick, another team that lost, Mount Zion, had a great year. Just a tough draw in the second round with MAROA, and a lot of people will say, oh, Mount Zion can't win in the playoffs, but they're going up against 2 years ago Central Catholic, who won state title, and MAROA, who has a pretty good shot at it again this year.
Exactly. Another good year for the Braves. Looking ahead to this week, we've got 4 teams still in it. Just what are you looking for a couple of these games, Justin?
Okay, well, I'll start with PANA's game. They travel to Carthage to face Illini West. That's really the sort of the death march for most playoff teams. You just don't see many teams go into Carthage and win playoff games. I think the one thing that Carthage, bear with me here just for a minute, one thing that Carthage does really well is they expose any weakness a team has. So let's say, and a team like an OCA team, let's say, would go like Monticello last year, went and played them. They put up some points against Carthage because that was their strength, and Carthage isn't going to completely shut down a good offensive OCA team. But there was a weakness on Monticello, and it was defense, and Carthage rolled up 60-some points. You look at this PANA team, I don't know if we know what their weakness is yet. I think that they will be able to move the ball on Carthage, maybe not put up a ton of points, but they'll move the ball on them. And I think that Illini West will have some problems scoring the ball. I don't think it'll be 60 points. Will PANA win the game? I don't think so. I think that Illini West will win the game, but I think it'll be a lot closer than most people around the state will look at this game and say, oh, another Illini West blowout. I don't see that happen. I think it'll be close because PANA doesn't have that big weakness, but just the overall talent that Illini West brings year to year will probably still get the job done.
PANA is a well-built team, and that's why they'll be in that game. Looking at MAROA's matchup, they're on the road at Williamsville. Just kind of, I did this last week with the Westville game, just kind of looking at, if you don't know much about the team, look at the competition and who they've played. Williamsville's lost 1 game on the year, and MAROA has obviously gone through the rigors of their OCAL. Williamsville hasn't done that. They beat, just one of the wins that kind of stuck out to me was a 20-6 win against Sangamon Valley. Now, not to knock Sangamon Valley, but they're not to the caliber that MAROA is. And just kind of looking at that tells me right away that this should be another game that MAROA should be able to kind of go in and walk away with pretty easily.
Right. You could easily see that happening. Auburn was a team that beat St. Teresa in the first round last year, and I really kind of felt like they would, roll into this game and it would be, this kind of marquee matchup. But obviously Auburn, didn't get it done against Williamsville, and that's a conference rival. That makes a difference. But I don't know. It makes me feel like that. I don't know if this is going to be a blowout. I think Williamsville probably has a pretty good team, and it should be a pretty good game. I don't think it's to that Westville level.
Not to that level, but right. I think it's in that direction, definitely.
Yeah. I think you're probably right about that. Another team that you can kind of look at is, you sort of look at who they are and who they're playing is Casey and Staunton this week. Staunton's a team that just doesn't have a ton of playoff experience. They've never made it to a quarterfinal before. Start looking at the teams they've beat this year. They beat Pawnee 6-5. I just don't think that Casey's
baseball score there.
I don't think Casey's going to have a 6-5 game against Pawnee, and so I really think Staunton's probably getting in a little over their head here against a Casey team that, like we said before, they do it in the playoffs every year, and I just don't see any reason, for them not to get it done in this game too.
Yeah, I learned last week you don't pick against Casey in the playoffs. I mean, they just stomped Carlinville. Another team you don't pick against typically is TUSCOLA. Yeah. Looking at their matchup, they faced Jacksonville Route. They played them in the semis last year, won 21-7. And taking a look at just kind of that eye test, the schedule, I think this game's going to be closer this year. Jacksonville Route competed much better. They got just totally torched by Mount Sterling, Brown County last year. They were in that game this year. They did lose it, but they beat Concord Triopia. I know they didn't have maybe the year that they normally have, but they got beat by them last year. So I think this is a better Route team. I think TUSCOLA is certainly better, but I think it's going to be a pretty tight game, maybe one score or so.
I remember 2 years ago, TUSCOLA beat Route in the first round, I'm pretty sure, and really defensively just annihilated them. But I think that TUSCOLA's defense isn't as physical as those last 2 teams. And, it's going to come down to, does Route have the defensive backs to cover TUSCOLA's guys, because that's, if you don't have that, they'll find your weakness and pick on you like they did against A&M, and that'll be a big key for Route.
Roll up some points for that one. All right, that's a look at the 4 playoff games this week. Make sure you check out hrpreps.com for full coverage. We'll be out at a couple of games, so you can find all that coverage there.